Hello, I am Andy, and I would like to thank you for coming to my movie.
Hello, everybody. I am Bryan.
And I'm Bryan.
And this is Bryan versus Bryan, episode 70. Man on the Moon / Jim and Andy, The Great Beyond. Is that what it's called? The caption, The Great Beyond?
I think
Something
so.
like that.
Yeah,
Jim and Andy. Beyond. So we're doing the double feature. Man on the Moon, and then the documentary years and years afterwards about Man on the Moon. So, I've always liked Man on the Moon. And then they came out with that documentary, which was really good. I would almost maybe better than the movie because it's so interesting. You don't have to go through the story of the movie. You just get like the good kind of good stuff with the Clifton and the crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's a good companion piece for sure for the movie.
Yeah. And sometimes when I'm feeling like the movie, I'll be like, I'll watch that instead of the movie because it's like they're kind of the same thing almost. But yeah, I thought it'd be fun to do. And you had never watched Man on the Moon, which is a travesty in the first place, and then to never watch Jim and Andy. I mean, it's just a great documentary, man. I don't think I've seen a documentary piece about a movie that has been so interesting, like grips you as much as the movie. You know what I mean? That's weird. So it's a very
there's not very
interesting
many. Like there's a couple that stick out in terms of like, well, like I'm talking about more like behind the like stuff that's on a special features. Like I think Alien 3 is fucking fascinating as hell. I think some of the Star Wars, especially the prequel documentaries with George Lucas, is pretty fascinating. But yeah, this was really cool to get an inside look of how Man on the Moon was made and how well, I guess we're kind of getting into the but yeah, I enjoy. I was gonna watch it when it released on Netflix, but I was like, no, I should probably like check the movie out first, and I kind of just never got around to it.
All right, yeah. Let's start with Man on the Moon, 1999 biographical comedy drama about the late American entertainer Andy Kaufman. I love the way the movie starts.
Yeah.
Hello,
100%.
My name is Andy. This is my movie. Hello, and then he just kind of. It's just the most weirdest thing. And then all of a sudden he's like, okay, now everyone is left, doesn't really want to watch the movie. Now it's just us. Let's begin. Yeah, I just thought that was really a very Andy Kaufman way to start it. Yeah, I was very familiar with Andy Kaufman before the movie because I don't know, in my household we watched Taxi a lot, and then they played it a lot on Nick at Night. So I was familiar with Andy Kaufman and Danny DeVito, and I liked Taxi. I was like, I liked that show. Tony Danza, I liked all those guys.
Was DeVito in Taxi? I've never seen Taxi.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So it's weird.
That's cool.
That he's playing George Shapiro, and then they're on the set of Taxi. But I don't think they ever show. I think they do show clips of Taxi in it. In Man on the Moon, they show real clips. No, it's all remade.
Jim Carrey. Yeah.
Because I could have swore I saw a clip of like Danny DeVito. Because they don't show any of Danny DeVito playing Danny DeVito in the movie. But I thought they showed a clip of Danny DeVito playing his character in archival footage, but I guess I'm wrong.
No, they do a montage of Andy and Taxi, but it's all Jim Carrey. They don't show they don't show any footage of Andy in the movie, which I was surprised by. I figured by the end of the credits they would like do like a B-roll of all of his stunts, but there's no footage of real Andy in the movie.
Yeah, so it's pretty funny because when they're on the set of Taxi, he's like playing George Shapiro, and he's like, "You're on this, you're on this show," and then they don't show him. So they kind of that's the way they skip over that. Yeah, so I was kind of familiar with him, so I knew his kind of wackiness and the bongo stuff and the Mighty Mouse on. I think it was SNL. He did that. So I didn't know a lot because this is like before like the internet's real big, so I didn't know a whole lot, but I knew of him, and so I watched the movie and I loved it. And I thought Jim Carrey, knocked it out the park. And this guy, who the heck, Milos Forman? Didn't he direct like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty big time director to get for this, dude. So this all started. I was watching the interview. It was Danny DeVito was talking to Milos at somebody's birthday party, and Milos liked Taxi and like wanted stories about Taxi. So he's telling him about it, and then it is like at the end of my Taxi stories, I always get to my favorite part, talking about my buddy Andy, because he was the wild card. I always save those stories for the end of my Taxi stories, and I was telling him, and he's like, "Tell me more about Andy. I need to know." and then he's like, "We gotta make this movie, Danny." He's like, "What do you mean make this movie?" And he's like, "I'm just blowing smoke out my ass. Milos Forman asked you to make a movie. I'm a producer. Yeah, we're gonna make a movie." Because it was like shortly after his company just produced Pulp Fiction, and shortly after that, so he's like, "I'm riding high on that, and now I got a Oscar-winning." Was he Oscar-winning? Yeah,
yeah.
Director, and he's asked me to do a movie. Yeah, I'm gonna do a movie. I guess they talked to Jim about it, and Jim is an Andy file. Like, he owns the bongos that Andy played before he got hired, and all this crazy stuff. It's a very serendipitous series of events to get this movie made. It's really weird. But you coming in fresh, you can go ahead and narrate us through the movie, or whatever you want to do, whatever you want to talk about the movie, and I can jump in with what I might want to add.
Yeah, so I didn't know too much about Andy. I knew I knew that he had something to do with wrestling. Not that he was a wrestler. I just knew he did some sort of stunt with wrestling.
Mr. Lawler.
Yeah, all that stuff was new to me. I didn't know about that. But and I knew about Taxi. Other than that, I didn't really know much about it. I just knew he was just a wacky guy. So yeah, and then I also knew going in about how Jim Carrey and had a lot of fun in this production. Let's put it that way. Yeah. I knew about that kind of stuff.
What's funny about that is we all thought that, and there were rumors, but no one knew. You know what I mean? No one knew because it wasn't talked. I mean, I saw a Charlie Rose interview with Danny DeVito where he told that story about how it started, and he said Charlie Rose was like saying working with Jim. He's like, "Well, I didn't work with Jim really. Every time he came to say it, he was Andy or Tony Clifton, and that's all he said about it. He left it at that. He didn't, there's much more, more than that, and that's all he said. And so before all the internet videos, and they took this footage from him and wouldn't let him show it. So before this documentary, we didn't really know the extent. Like, in your mind, when you think him going to set in character, you don't think this.
Yeah,
This is another level. So.
Like, you just think weird. Of like when I think of method acting, I think of like Daniel Day-Lewis, right?
You think of someone in character. Yeah, you don't think of someone getting drunk and wrecking a car on the set. Hey, why goddamn it! He's got a paper bag over his head.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing. So yeah, I sat down and watched it. I'm a little mixed on it. I think that a biography movie, I feel like a biography movie tries to accomplish two things, right? It tries to let you know who the subject is as a person and their ups and downs as just an individual person, and then it also tries to accomplish what they're famous for, whether if it's an artist, the song that you're known for, whatever. So most biographies kind of balance that very well. This movie seems to care more about what Andy's famous for and less about who he was as a person. And I think this movie feels like just a bunch of montages of all of Andy's stuff versus who Andy was. And I feel which is fine. I first of all, I should say the movie's enjoyable and I liked it. But I just think it could have been better if we got more of Andy. There is snippets of Andy in the movie, but for the most part, that him as an individual is kind of subdued, and you get more of just the Andy Kaufman timeline of events. And even in the third act, it really starts to get a little melodramatic, and it starts to kind of try to get you to care about Andy Kaufman. Whereas I don't know if that's necessarily earned, because you didn't really give us anything in the front load of the movie to, care. But man, Jim Carrey's performance, dude, holy shit. Like, you go back and watch some of these, the real footage of Andy, and it's like fucking identical. Like, his performance is amazing. It's insane to me that he wasn't even nominated for an Academy Award. That's just crazy to me. Not even nominated, let alone won.
It's crazy how much he kind of looks like him too.
Yeah,
you wouldn't think before the movie. I was like, okay, this is makeup or something, but it did pretty well. When you slick the hair back and stuff, kind of it's similar.
Mm-hmm.
Similar enough to where if you have a really good performance, you can believe it. You get lost in it.
And all of the recreations, the Mighty Mouse is fucking spot on. Tony Clifton for the win in this movie, man. Oh my God. I didn't know anything about Tony Clifton at all. So this was all new to me. And man, what a blast. And not even just Jim Carrey. Like, I think all of the acting across the board. Paul Giamatti, his wingman is great. Danny DeVito's
great.
Even Courtney Love.
Even Courtney Love, which I hate.
Yeah.
In mostly everything she's ever done, including music. Mm-hmm. And I could stand her here, and I was like, okay, she's doing pretty well.
Yeah. So overall, I enjoyed the movie quite a bit. I just think, I thought I was left with like, there was like a lot of room for improvement. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't know it was a 1999 movie, and the reason why I bring that up is because 1999 is one of those like infamous best years for movies. 1999 was a fucking heavy hitter for movies, and yeah, I guess we can break some of these down. Like, I was trying to think what got me fucking... Yeah, Tony Clifton is easily, like, my favorite.
The first scene with Tony Clifton, yeah.
Yeah,
it's like,
great.
You go, Tony Clifton, everybody, and he goes behind the curtain, you hear, huh? God damn it! Oh, you and the guy has to come back out. It's like, sorry, Tony Clifton, due to his condition... He asks that you extinguish all smoking material. Please put out your cigarettes and your cigars, everybody, so he can sing, please, and then we'll enjoy the show. And then he comes out, walks on the stage, lights up a cigarette. Everyone's looking at him. That's how you know how it's gonna start.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he starts with the amore. Wow, 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 wow. Everyone's sitting there. He's like, hey. I need this place like I need a shotgun blast to the face. I play the biggest gigs in Vegas, okay? Enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Goes over to the chick. Hey, you setting a little cottage cheese there, honey? Oh, that's your ass. Excuse me. He goes over to Paul Giamatti. And what's your name, fella? He's like, Bob. Oh, Bob what? Up and down in the water? He's like, Gortsky? Gortsky? Was that Polish? So, yeah. I think them goddamn Polacks have been ridiculed enough. I run a clean show around here. I don't need no Polish humor. Pours the water over his head.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So good. And then he's like, George, I'll see you backstage. Fatty? Or Baldy?
Baldy, yeah.
Yeah, he sees him backstage. He's eating spaghetti. He's just slurping it up, turns to him. Slurps it. And then he's like, what do you want? And he's like, not everything's what it seems, George. Shows him his eyes. See, that's where I think you're kind of wrong. Or I think it does show who Andy was. Right there in that scene. It shows that Andy wasn't really known by anybody. Mm-hmm. Even the closest people to him, he was always like, was that the real Andy you met? Or was it a character? Was it a show? And I think that kind of shows in the movie. Like he's never really true, He's always doing something for somebody or putting on some facade. So I think that kind of showed in the movie. But anyways, in the scene, I love it when Paul Giamatti comes in. He's like, yeah, what about that poor schmuck you poured water on out in the audience? It's a great show, man. Paul Giamatti coming in. This is my writing partner, Zamuda. and then yeah, Zamuda is shown in the documentary and stuff, and I thought, yeah, Paul did a great job. Pretty good. And I love they get into talking. He's a writing partner. You should have seen it. One time he faked a lion escaping at the Brooklyn Zoo. You should have seen it, George. We had 20 people running. There's a fucking lion. They shut down the zoo for 3 days. But yeah, that's the introduction to Tony Clifton, and that. Oh man, that stuck with me for years and years.
Yeah, I mean, it's even a good build-up because before you even meet Tony, Shapiro, Dan DeVito, gets a phone call from this guy who's just screaming, "Hey, look at Andy Kaufman!" He's just going off on it. He's like, "What? Who is this?" And Tony Clifton. Or actually, he doesn't even say his name. And so that's kind of how he's introduced. And then Andy gets offered the Taxi role, and he has some agreements. And one of them is to let this unknown name, Tony Clifton, to have 4 appearances on Taxi, and no one knows who he is. So just the reveal of who that Andy is Tony Curtis and this fucking crazy guy is a great reveal. But yeah, he's definitely the best character in the movie. He's fantastic.
Man. Yeah, and then the Taxi, you're gonna fire him. Oh, you gotta let him down gently, please. We will. We'll be very professional. I love it when they kick him out, and then they're firing him like, "You're firing me? You can't fucking fire me!" Well, we already talked to Andy. I don't know any goddamn Andy Kaufman. He always says he doesn't know Andy Kaufman. And then I love there's like a scene. He goes over there and pulls the fire alarm or something.
Oh yeah,
like he dings the bell and he just starts swinging.
Yeah. Oh god, I was laughing so hard. It's fucking hilarious.
And they finally get him out. I want to make a phone call. No, not on the lot. You're not. Glass of water. Aspirin. Moist towelette. I love it. So good, dude. I guess we'll save some of the actual stories for the next part because it's kind of hard not to talk about some of the Jim and Andy that corresponds to it. But let's just get through the actual movie, I guess. What else? What struck you about the movie? What'd you like? What'd you dislike? What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, what's great about the movie for me is it showed me what he did, and it's like it made me want to like as soon as the movie's over, I wanted to go and look at the actual footage.
Yeah,
and just like all this insight that I didn't know, and like the whole wrestling thing with him and Jerry Lawler, which was great to see. What's his name?
Oh yeah,
the other guy.
It's cool
the other announcer who's in the movie, who's announcing the wrestling match, the King, I think.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that guy, like the saggy face. But no, all the wrestling stuff was fucking fascinating, and
it's cool that they got him back and like Letterman, and they recreated that. But Letterman's like it's now Letterman, you know what I mean? It's like they went on the show in '99,
right?
Because he's all old and shit. But they tried. They got the actual people. That was cool. I'm gonna sue you, Mr. Lawler.
You fucking piece of shit. I like the scene at the very end when the kind of wrestling thing is wrapped up. When him and Jerry or DeVito's like, you two can no longer work together, and like you don't really see Jerry. They're kind of obscuring him, and then it cuts to Jerry. He's like, "This is like one of the coolest moments of my life." I like that little.
Yeah, moment. I love the fucking intro music. I still have that beat in my head. His wrestling intro music that. The Intercontinental Women's Wrestling Champion of the World.
The intergender champion.
Oh yeah, the intergender champion of the world. I wrestle women, Lawler. I think women are very good at some things. Very good. Better than men at some things. Like scrubbing the dishes, cutting the taters, taking care of babies. It's so funny, man.
Yeah, I love how like he is all about, getting a laugh at the expense of like dismantling what we know as entertainment, and I think that's so fascinating. Like there's
getting a laugh for himself.
Yeah.
No one else finds it funny, really, in much of it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like it's almost like it's like a prank show, but nobody's filming it, so you don't get the audience reaction. It's really just for you.
Yeah,
it's if Tom Green did his stuff, but never filmed it. Just found it funny to himself. You know what I mean?
Well, like there's that. It's really amplified when he has his own special and he wants to purposefully like
Oh
ruin
yeah, yeah.
the special so that it seems as if it's the reception's off and it's going to get people
Yeah.
to bash on their TV. And
Then they'll get up and try to fix their TVs, and there's nothing wrong with their TVs. And they'll
like, how
sit
is that
down
funny?
and they'll scratch
Yeah.
their heads. Jim, I already know. He's like, Andy, we don't want people getting up.
Yeah.
We don't want people getting up. No, but it's funny.
Yeah,
it's not funny.
Little moments like that is very fascinating, and then obviously it's even more comedic when the boardroom is watching it, and that one fucking schlup gets up and
Yeah.
we paid how much money for this TV?
Yeah, it's funny when you saying all that. When you said documentaries are for those two things. I think this one. Now that we're talking about it, I think what this one does for Andy and for us is it doesn't really maybe explain his whole life story. It's just kind of a short part because it's kind of like a little bit before Taxi to death, which isn't a long time. Okay, he was gone pretty quickly, and so it doesn't go into his childhood or much of any of that. It doesn't really go into Taxi or the things that made him famous too much. So I think what it does is I think it shows us the genius of what he was doing, because you don't know really unless you know the whole story, right? You just watch the female wrestling and stuff. It's like, okay, that's not genius. That's kind of weird. That's kind of an asshole move. He's just kind of an eccentric Hollywood guy or something, right? But when you know the context and what's going on, I think you kind of understand the genius more, and that's what this movie was for. Was just as it's a love letter by his friend, Danny DeVito. It's like he knew the genius, he knew nobody else did, kind of thing, and he wanted to just open it up. Here's why Andy was so great. Let's make a movie about it. So I think it accomplishes that at least.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I guess to go back to what I was saying earlier about not knowing, the movie isn't really concerned about showing who Andy was. What I mean by that is like, he has brothers and a sister and parents, and like, what was their relationship like? He has a wife, and like, you do get a little bit of their relationship, but like not very much to work with. Like, I think of another biography we watched, which is Dragon, and you get a lot of Bruce and Linda and their relationship and how strong they were together. And it's like, you don't really get that in this movie. You get like so that's kind of what I mean by you don't really get to know Andy as a person. You get the genius of what he was trying to do, but you don't really get a sense of his like personal life and kind of who he was to everybody else. And the movie's not really concerned with that, which is fine. I'm just saying it just felt a little weird.
And it's Courtney Love, so careful what you ask for.
Yeah, that is true. She will kill you. She'll hire someone to kill you.
We don't want to derail this motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. But getting to see his inner workings and what he thought was funny, and how like he just loved to fuck with audiences, like by reading The Great Gatsby on stage in a British accent. It's fucking great. It's hilarious.
I loved it.
Yeah.
In my younger and more vulnerable years. I loved it. Do like her.
Gets all pissed.
Thank you very much.
They asked for it.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
And I almost wish, like, I do agree the opening of this movie is like probably one of the best openings. Like, you put it on the list of whatever top 50 openings of all time in a movie. This is probably on that list. And I wish that, the director would have fucked with us a little more. You like had a little more of that into the movie somehow, like in Andy Kaufman fashion. That would have been kind of neat. Him kind of exploring and fucking with us as an audience, because this movie opens with kind of a weird, fucked up Andy Kaufman thing, and I just would have loved to have seen that sprinkled out through the movie. Like they play the opening of the end credits.
Yeah,
just kind of standing there next to
okay,
them, like, all right.
Okay, the movie is over, but you are still here. You can go now.
Yeah. And then it holds on just a black frame for like 15 seconds, and it's like, and then he kind of dips his face in from the end. Oh, hey.
And isn't he like it's not a very good movie. Yeah. don't know why you came to this movie.
Yeah. So that would have been cool if some of that stuff kind of was a little explored in the movie, but
yeah, what a travesty that he was not even nominated, man.
Yeah.
What bullshit. He won a Golden Globe, but who fucking cares? Should have given an Academy Award for this motherfucker.
I'm gonna look up
I don't know who was nominated, but he deserved a nod for that, dude.
So, wait, I guess it wouldn't be 1999, right? Because it's always a year later. I guess it'd be 2000. So, actor in leading role, the winner was Kevin Spacey for American Beauty. The nominees were Russell Crowe.
Just playing himself. Fucking asshole. Of course.
Yeah.
See, it's hard to play a pedophile, isn't it?
The nominees were Russell Crowe for The Insider. These next two movies, I swear to God, I've never heard of in my entire life.
Russell Crowe for The Insider? I don't remember that. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I've seen it once. It's pretty good. These two movies I've never heard of. Richard Farnsworth for The Straight Story and Sean Penn for Sweet and Lowdown. I've never heard of those. And the last is Denzel Washington for The Hurricane, which is a pretty good movie. But yeah, I've never heard of The Straight Story or Sweet Lowdown. So
yeah, so throw Jim in there.
And then as far as like Best Picture goes, which I don't even know if this is like Best Picture caliber, but just for fucking shits and giggles, it was Best Picture was American Beauty, of course that one. The Cider House Rules, that was kind of a bore fest. The Green Mile, which is great. The Insider and The Sixth Sense. Ooh, we got some Shyamalan back in 1999.
Wow.
Best Picture.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it. It wasn't nominated for anything? I could have swore I got nominated for something. Nothing. Screenplay, nothing. Wow.
He did win. I'm on the awards category on IMDb for the actual like movie. I'll list all the awards the movie got.
Yeah.
And he did get, or he was nominated for the Screen Actors Guild Award. He didn't even win. But yeah, fucking weird, man. Oh, Golden Globes. He won a Golden Globe.
Yeah.
For what that's worth.
Actor.
Yeah, that's a trophy. Take it.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, so it's kind of underrated movie, I think. I think it deserves better. I mean, I think this is easily the best acting Jim Carrey's ever done. I mean, he's done some acting movies, but to really just become someone else. And you look, like you said, you look at the footage, and it's like, damn.
Mm-hmm.
It's so close. It's so good. It's really hard to do with a historical person because people can go look up the YouTube videos and know exactly how good you did. Mannerisms, everything.
Yeah, I also wanted to mention that going in, I would say, I don't know if you felt this way too. I mean, I guess it's kind of hard for you to go back and remember, like,
I can go
first
right
time
back.
you saw it. All right. So,
99.
I felt like the first probably 30 minutes, I was like, ugh, this is just Jim Carrey, doing an imitation of, like, I kept seeing Jim Carrey and not Kaufman. Maybe that's because I just never seen any Kaufman footage or anything. But somewhere after the 30 minutes, once I start getting into the movie and the character, I forget about Jim Carrey. And that's, obviously the purpose of acting. But I'd say for the first 30 minutes, like, this is Jim Carrey. But he does such a fucking good job that, like, I start to believe him as Andy Kaufman. And I'm transported to Andy Kaufman's world. And so I applaud his performance. It's fucking great.
I don't think that happened with me. I think because, like, at that time, everything Jim had done was so crazy. Mm-hmm. And then in this movie, he's got long hair, and it's all slicked back. And so I think visually he looked so different than all his other movies, his comedies. This is still a comedy, but visually he looked so different that it was like, it wasn't, I didn't see like Ace Ventura sitting there, you know what I mean? Like you would think of Jim Carrey at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of sold it to me. But yeah, they didn't really do any prosthetics or anything. You know what I mean? He's got like a fake mole.
Oh,
like
yeah,
Andy.
the moles on his cheek there, yeah.
And then that's about it. And no makeup or anything, really. I mean, some makeup, but I didn't, as far as I could tell, no prosthetics or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was kind of just, he had to have his acting come through to change who he was. But I thought he did really well. What was I going to say? Something came up in my mind. Dang it, I lost it. Anyways.
Yeah, it's. I also I do think, like I said earlier, I think where the movie kind of falters for me is like the third act. Like basically when she gets sick, the third act downfall. Oh, you're not welcome in our religion anymore, or all the stuff that's bad starts
Yeah.
happening to him. I think that's kind of where the movie dips a little bit for me. But it is sad, like the way the movie portrays it, where he is sick, but no one is like everyone's having a hard time believing him because he
Yeah.
was such a fucking prankster. I thought that was kind of sad. It's like his sisters, like the doctor comes in and tells his family, and his sister and brother are like, it's a fucking phony. The doctor's shoes weren't even the right kind of shoes, and so it's kind of sad.
Yeah. And it did happen very fast. I think it was like 5 months. Danny DeVito was saying people finding out, and then he was actually dead.
Jesus.
Very fast cancer. I don't know if he smoked or what. It was like lung cancer.
Yeah, they say in the movie. I think DeVito says you don't even smoke, and he goes, "Yeah, it's a rare." And he lists off what the ailment is, but I wonder if the funeral was accurate. I didn't look it up, but
That was a pretty sad, touching scene, though, right?
yeah.
It had a video of him playing at his funeral. Let's all sing. Okay.
It made me
Oh.
it made me want to have like it made me think of like why don't we do that in America? Like why does death always have to be like this sad? Like we all go, at funerals you go into a room and maybe people have speeches and you cry and you kind of get it out, but like there's something about celebrating. Like I guess that's what happens afterwards.
It's supposed to be a celebration of life.
Yeah, but
it never quite is it? So it's very
yeah.
sad. I think it's just we can't separate the two.
Right.
We're so sad that a loved one is gone. We love them and we want to celebrate their life, and we try to, but it's just so hard right after they're gone. Funeral is always close to the death. So
yeah, watching his funeral and him kind of getting people to hold each other and sway and sing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, that's fucking cool. It's really touching.
and then before when he finally gets to play Carnegie Hall, that is a touching moment, man. Because he knows he's gonna at that point he knows he doesn't have long. And he finally gets his dream. And he does Carnegie Hall, and he kills. And then he takes everyone out for milk and cookies after the show. There's buses outside waiting. And, that actually happened, man. Takes the freaking everyone out for milk and cookies. That's crazy. Such a cool thing. All right.
Yeah. That's kind of my overall. I liked it.
So, Man on the Moon for me. This is a good one, man. This is it's a 8.8 for me. It's almost a 9. I thought Jim's performance was amazing. I love the subject. I love the acting. I thought the characters are amazing. This is one I still like to watch from time to time. You can just flip through and get a couple, highlight reel of it and watch some Tony Clifton and stuff. And yeah, I love it. 8.8.
Cool. I was gonna go like a 7.4. That's kind of where I'm at with it.
Well, fuck you. All right, and then so next order of business, we talked just a little bit about Jim and Andy. Man, this documentary is fucking cool, man.
Yeah,
it gives you some real insight into this shit. I love the footage, man. It's so good. Like, there's the preview they had where it's like showing him in the trailer, and the guy playing his dad comes in.
Yeah,
and then Jim's talking about it, and then whatever the actor's name is, playing my dad comes in and starts scolding me as my dad. It's like, you just need to support me. He's there in the makeup chair. He's like, I do support you. What do you want me to tell you? Everything you do is good? Huh? And then the chick doing his makeup starts crying. It's like, it's my dad.
Yeah. It's like,
and he's like, he's like, I'm so terrible. I'm so terrible. And you could tell you're kind of seeing Jim for a second there. He thinks he's terrible because he keeps doing this to people. The way he's doing this movie. Mm-hmm. But then he's also being Andy. So yeah, I thought this was a incredible insight Netflix documentary, which is weird. Is Netflix doesn't have the movie. I wish they had both. I mean,
yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
It's a companion piece. And just all the Tony Clifton footage is really what you come for.
That's what surprised me, because like you say, like we say, like Jim Carrey in character as Andy Kaufman for the entire set. You think of like him playing what's his name, Lotska, or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think of that, right? You think of the taxi guy, like just Jim Carrey being like, okay, yeah, call me Andy. Who's Jim? But what you don't think of is fucking Tony like him on set. Is as Tony Clifton is fucking insane that they let him get away with all that shit. It is so crazy.
Yeah, just wrecking the Cadillac and
I got it. It's just like slamming the car into the fucking.
I got it.
Want to say impression of Jackie Kennedy? I was like, oh my god.
Going around the lot. And they're fucking goes to Steven's. I want to see Mr. Spielberg. Huh? I want to see I want to see fucking Steven Spielberg. He goes down there. It's like, do you have an appointment? No, I don't have an appointment. So where are the goddamn dinosaurs? Huh? Where do you keep these dinosaurs?
Oh man, it's so good.
Oh my god. So you can't have a camera in here, sir. Oh my god, so good. Oh yeah, and he's having like Zamuda. Like film it too, and Andy's daughter, I think.
Oh, it's Andy's wife.
Is it wife?
Yeah, because she says something about Courtney Love having mannerisms that matched her. She thought it was like eerie,
okay.
But yeah.
Right on. What's cool is it does show like the footage of like the family, and they said like, wow, it was like having him back for a minute. It was crazy. It was weird, and. God, Jim Carrey's just off the wall fucking nutcase though. When they interview him and he's got his beard, he's so fucking weird. It's like, it's a mystical connection here. I mean, is it me? Is it Andy? And he's got the beard, and it's just everything he says is a fucking soliloquy or a fucking metaphor. You know what I mean? I was just like, Jesus, Jim. I mean, some of it was pretty deep, but at the same time, I'm like, whoa, man, you're weird.
Yeah, he kind of, you see it a lot at the very, very end. He's talking about like free will and this cup of tea. Am I drinking the cup of tea because I'm thirsty?
Yeah.
Like all this weird shit, but.
He's fucking weird.
But I do think he's onto something about like, I'm not an actor, but I get how like you portray, you become somebody else and we, the audience, attach ourselves to that person, but that's not really who you are. And it's kind of this weird psychological thing for an actor, and I think that's what he's trying to get at, is like he feels empty when he's outside of these roles because he's not Ace Ventura, he's not the Truman guy, and it's so I kind of felt for him that.
Yeah, must be terrible. Must be terrible. So what else? I love all the footage of Milos in this. It's like, Jim, I guess, impersonating Milo.
Oh, yeah.
Jim, please let me talk to Jim just once. Please, and not Andy.
Oh, man, I feel bad for that Cole crew, man.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. This poor
Oh,
bastards.
yeah, but fucking it worked, And then he's like, you know what? Milos, I could come as Jim. We could do it that way. I could try and act like Andy, and we'll see how that works. Or I could do it this way and say, no, we need Andy.
Yeah, he was like, we can fire them and I can, or something along those lines. And then he was like, no, I just wanted to talk to Jim. It's like he's getting so sick of fucking talking to these other characters. He just wanted to get to Jim. Or like there's the fucking when Milo's talking to Tony and he's like, hey, tell Jim we're going to lunch tomorrow. I was like, who? He's like, Jim, you. He's like, I don't know what fucking Jim is. I ain't going, not me. He's just trying to ask him that we're gonna have lunch tomorrow, and Tony's just like, what?
Wasn't there like there's a scene when they're doing like a mic check on stage?
Oh God, yeah.
Tony's there, and he's like, huh? Quiet, we're doing mic. Huh? What do you mean quiet? Mic check. Hello, 1, 2, 3. Sounds pretty good to me. Yeah, I think it fucking works.
Oh man, so awful.
Oh my god,
hilarious.
So good. And then like Jerry Lawler, like there's great stuff in there about him. I hated working with Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey was not like Andy Kaufman. Me and Andy Kaufman, it was a joke. And then like it's funny the insight of Jim Carrey's like, yeah, I kind of know that's how it was, but I was just channeling Andy. And so he's kind of playing it as if, what would Andy do in this situation of filming the movie? Not what would Andy do because we were actually, in on this joke together. So it's kind of interesting, and I loved it. I love how much he pissed off Lawler. He's just throwing shit at him. I think he like chokes Jim in one part or something.
Yeah, he chases him down the hallway and tries to whip his ass.
It's like, listen, pal, I'm just gonna take you out.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking crazy how he got under his skin. And it's just hearing Jerry's interview of just like, this is not who Andy was. This is kind of fucking pissing me off a little bit. It's kind of fascinating. Yeah.
But then after I saw another interview about the documentary where he was talking, and he's like, you know what? After watching the documentary, they let me screen it first. He's like, I don't know if I'd change anything. He's like, I love what he did now. Now I understand it. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love what he did. I don't care if fucking some people got pissed off or if some people might have been the hardest movie they ever worked on. That shit was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's fucking awesome. All of it.
It's very meta.
His footage is like as good, if not better, than the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I love how they kept it under lock and key. We think Jim might come across as an asshole if anyone sees this, and we want him to be liked. And, he's Ace Ventura, and it's like, I don't think he came across as an asshole. I think he came across as like crazy. I think this is 1999 too. This is like fucking. We're starting some Jackass now, so people are doing this stuff. It's not that crazy.
Yeah, it's unheard of to do on a set. I guess
on a movie set.
Yeah, because people are there to work. They're working fucking 15. Like they have things to do. You have you have to be on schedule if you're late. So when you have somebody fucking around, it's got to get under people's skins. But
I love it, man. Like this documentary is so good. I remember when I first watched it because I knew all the stories. Like, oh my god, there's an actual documentary about it. Like they're gonna go into it and have some of the footage. I was like, dude, and just seeing that first trailer. And I was like, when it shows on Netflix, got the little preview before it came out. I was like, ooh, man, I can't wait. And then I watched it. I was fucking glued from beginning to end. I was glued.
Yeah.
Dude. I just enjoyed every second of it. It's one of the best docs I've seen in a long time. And one of the best docs, because most docs are like a making of featurette. This isn't really. This is like going into the acting process of a movie, which really, I don't know of any doc that has done that because there hasn't been such a weird acting situation where it warrants a freaking documentary being made about it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I freaking loved it. It was so good.
Yeah, it was fucking, man. It was so crazy. Like he would go into the makeup trailer and put a boombox on the ground and crank the fucking audio, and everyone else getting their makeup on. They're like, dude, just all this weird shit. It's just like, man.
You see Paul Giamatti sitting in the chair when like he's having the fight, and he's just like shaking his head.
Like, another day, just another day.
Man.
But yeah, it was good. It was good. It would be cool to see more of it. And it was cool that it was just Jim Carrey as the talking head. You know what I mean? Like there was no other talking head interviews. It's just Jim in front of a camera telling the story of his experience. I like that a lot. I think if they had other people doing it, it would have been a little too expansive, I guess. But just to keep it intimate with just Jim, I thought it was a good idea. And you got to see not even just Jim, but you got to see more of what's his partner's name? Andy's partner's name? The Zumba guy?
Yeah,
Zamuda. You get to see a lot of footage of him, like the real guy who was with Andy.
Yeah, and he's talking with Jim, and he's actually like collaborating on things they're doing. Like he's like, it was like we were back again. Oh yeah, and then where they go to like the premiere and it's Bob Zamuda as Tony Clifton.
Oh, it's the Playboy Mansion. They think it's Jim going to the Playboy Mansion.
So it's Bob Zamuda dressed as Tony Clifton.
Yeah. Tony Clifton, yeah.
As Tony Clifton, and then Jim shows up.
Yeah.
Like, hey guys, wait a minute, and then they kick him out. What do you mean? You can't kick me out of here.
It was so good.
Like, I don't know what Jim Carrey. That's like a perfect. That's a perfect how they would do it. Like back in the day, like they would have Andy Kaufman show up somewhere, and Zamuda would play Clifton to try and alleviate because everyone thought they were the same person. It's like, no, they're not the same person. And then people would be like, "What the fuck? What? They're not. How are they both here?" It was so awesome, man.
Yeah, that was great.
Good.
That was a cool moment.
Yeah, Zamuda, man. That must have been great for him, man. It's like, man, it's kind of like he was back. Good old days.
Yeah, you could tell that Jim, whatever happened on this role or whatever happened to him psychologically, it kind of fucked with him. Because I'm trying to remember, do you remember back in the day, I don't know if this was pre-Man of the Moon or post-Man of the Moon, but there was a time where he went to the Oscars, and he had a really long fucking beard, and he's dressed like a hippie, and he had like hippie glasses, and he won something, and he's up on stage, and he's like, he was just really fucking out there, and people are like, what is going on? I want to say it was post-Man of the Moon, but I could be wrong. So whatever happened to him in this set, it stuck with him. You could tell.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was very funny, though. Because he was like, these awards, that's what matters, right? This is all that matters. This is what makes me and better than you. That was so good. I don't know. It was just kind of like a Ricky Gervais moment. He was just making fun of everybody and how stupid it was to care about these fucking awards. And, when I go to bed, I won't be 2-time Golden Globe winner Jim Carrey. I'll be 3-time Golden Globe Award winner Jim Carrey. And then I'll have a new dream to be 4-time Golden Globe Award winner Jim Carrey. And then maybe I might matter.
Sorry, I'm looking at it now. It's the MTV Movie Awards. And he's dressed like a fucking hippie. He has like a cigarette in his mouth and shit.
Yeah, that's the place to make a statement. That's because that's the one everyone watches. The MTV Award winner for Best Kiss.
And it was for Best Actor for The Truman Show. He dressed as like a hippie and went on stage and did his. Maybe that was. I bet you he probably already got Kaufman by that moment, the Kaufman role, and he's just kind of getting into it. That would be my guess.
Wow. So, but for the documentary as a companion piece, I don't. So, if you don't like the movie, do you think someone would want to watch this documentary?
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you're interested in just like film production,
acting, and processes, and yeah, I think so too. If you're interested in like crazy method acting or interesting movie set stories, regardless of your thoughts of the film, I think this would be a watch, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. And then if you like it, of course, you like the movie, then we don't need to convince you. You're gonna want to watch it probably. Yeah. So for me, what did I think I gave? 8.8 for the movie. 8.8. This has got to be a 8.5. Terrific companion piece. Sometimes some of the footage is more entertaining because like that Playboy Mansion scene.
Yeah.
Oh my God, him wrecking the car. Showing up drunk with that fucking paper bag over his head because he didn't have the makeup on, but he was still Tony Clifton, but he couldn't have the bag off because you can't see it and it's not Tony Clifton. Oh, man. Good stuff. 8.5. One of the best movie docs I've ever seen. Because, it's like a full-length one. It's like, you don't often get these. They're mostly like a Blu-ray freaking bonus feature.
That's like truncated to 10 minutes. Oh, we had so much fun. Oh, this person was so brilliant. He just really gets the role, and it's blah, blah, blah. Yeah, this felt very... What's cool about this documentary is, and I'm making fun of special features because that's what they feel very produced and very, like, showy. This felt very...
We watch them. We love them.
We will, yeah. But this felt very unfiltered. And it felt very raw and just, like, not producey and not showmansy. Because they're not really selling you a product at this point. They're just, just behind the scenes of what happened. But
shit, they don't even have the movie, so there's no product to sell.
No, it's great. I'm glad. it makes me sound like a cop out because when I was thinking about it, I was thinking 8.5 as well. I do think it's better than I had more fun with this movie. And I saw it really fucking fascinating to see Jim Carrey unleashed and watching him rain terror and hell on the set. But for good, I mean, maybe not for good reason, but there's a purpose behind it. He wasn't doing it just for the fuck of it.
Yeah.
He was trying to get and tap into what Kaufman was trying to do, and that way, all this feels very meta, and it's very interesting.
Yeah. Can you fault the process when the product ends up being good? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe you don't agree with how he got there, but the end product turned out great. Like, that was some good acting. Maybe that's what he personally had to do to get it on screen, which is a lot, but hey, if it works.
Yeah, I think both ways of acting are valuable, right? Like if you're fucking Daniel Day-Lewis and you need to be Abraham Lincoln for a couple months, and that's how you tap into that, then fucking go for it. However, I do think it's really cool where an actor can be themselves, leave the trailer, go onto a set, rehearse, and be that person on a dime. I think both of them work really well. It just depends on who you are, and he went with the method way, and it worked.
Yeah.
It probably would have been a whole different performance if he didn't. If he just sat down and they said action, he just tried to be him. It probably would have been a different performance.
I don't think no one could have got away with that, but Jim Carrey, because at that point he was the biggest star in the world.
Yeah.
No one else. The movie would have been shut down and stopped. I hear they did have a lot of big actors that wanted to that videoed for Andy Kaufman. I want to know who those guys are and see some of that test footage. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It's always interesting to see famous actors that tried out for famous roles that didn't get it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How future could have been different.
That reminds me of along the lines of that. You watched the Shop? Is that what it's called? The HBO LeBron. Did you see the Will Smith one? Or Will Smith was on? So. Oh god, it's fucking hilarious. So at the end credits, they always run like B-roll on the credits, and it's Will Smith, and they're like, "Yeah, I sat down when these fucking two guys come in the room. They're like, hey, you're gonna be in this computer. We want to play this Neo guy, and you're in a computer program. There's kung fu fighting, and there's bullets." And Will Smith's like, "Nah, fuck that. That sounds stupid. I'm gonna go do Wild Wild West." And it cuts to black. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I do know he turned that down. That's one of the ones he kicks himself over.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. At least we got I Am Legend, huh?
At least we got King Richard.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, both pretty good. Check them out, man. So where'd you find Man on the Moon? Because it wasn't free on. Okay.
It wasn't free on either of the. It must have been an old article. You sent me an article that's like, "Hey, where's that?" So it must have been old.
So it wasn't on there. Damn.
No, not.
I have it on. I have it on DVD, so I got a nice grainy copy. And I have a nice little 10-inch CRT with a DVD player built in. Nice little setup, portable.
Is that where you watched it?
Yeah. I'm gonna pay for it. If I watched it on the 4K blown up, it was gonna look terrible. It looked decent on a CRT. That's what
How Kaufman of you, yeah.
Just sitting there with cookies and milk on this.
Oh, this is really nice.
Okay. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Please check it out on Spotify. Please check us out on Apple Music, iTunes, whatever they want to call it now. The one where it's got an apple and a bite's taken out of it and they have music and podcasts. That's the one.
Macintosh.
I'm sure you've heard of it. Yeah, Macintosh. The Rainbow Apple. I can't wait to get my iMac. I want the clear purple one.
I can't wait for my Mac to just have one button on it and no slots to help you whatsoever.
Yeah. Wait till they come out with that new keyboard. It's just one big button. Depending on how you press it, it could be any key. Yeah. Why would a mouse have two buttons? Just get one. I never understood these weird Macs. To right click, you hold your hand up and you stick the mouse in the toilet and you flush twice.
It's so fucked up. We have this work computer, and it's Mac, and like so on my desk I have like a small printer plugged in I have a PC, a small printer that's plugged in USB. I have a monitor, and then I have a mouse that's all plugged into the side of my computer. And I hold up the Mac, and I'm like spinning it around, and like there's no USB, there's nothing to plug in. Like this is fucking nonsense. And they're like, oh, you have to buy an adapter and plug it. I'm like, oh my god, crazy.
Yeah, these guys and their proprietary adapters and cords.
Mm-hmm.
All right, yeah.
We doing Halo next week? We going back to video games?
When's it come out?
Tuesday. A couple days.
Oh, okay.
Ah, shit.
Yeah, sure. We can do Halo. If there's nothing else, yeah, Halo's good. That's a big one. I ordered it. I don't know when it's gonna come. I'm sure. I have Game Pass. I can play it at any time. But I did order it. So yeah, let's do Halo.
It's either that. I think the only thing coming out on the 10th or next Friday is Spielberg's West Side Story.
Oh god,
that's it.
I'm glad you came back for that, Stevie. Like,
yeah,
do a real movie. Come on, dude. I'd love to see a new Spielberg movie, like a big, cool, epic. You know what I mean? Let's do something.
Yeah, he hasn't done one in a while, man.
Poke him with a stick. Do something. I'm gonna do a musical. Oh god, no.
Not just a musical remake.
Yeah, and like, oh god, and race swap everybody, and it's like Annie with Jamie Foxx. Yeah, I don't plan on watching that. Yeah, I'm just not a musical guy. Spielberg can't do it for me. It'll be funny to watch it. Yeah, maybe I will. And then, oh my god, I loved it.
I'm sure it'll look pretty. He's definitely got an eye for cinematography. I'm sure it'll look great.
All right, guys, join us next week for Halo Infinite. We'll check out the campaign, get as much time in on it as we can, and give you our impressions, because that's all that's coming out.
Yeah,
it's a campaign. Everything else is kind of already there. Yeah, I can't wait to play some single player, because this stupid multiplayer sucks. Or it doesn't suck, but I suck. So
yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys, take it easy. Till next time.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace.
Later.